This is a rolling, not a stop. Wild shit don't ever stop. Ooh, holy Toledo. Not a bad freaking day, guys. Look at that. That's about as picture perfect as it gets off that $32 bounce, baby. Holy Toledo. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Trey's Trades, where we freaking talk fast and don't skip class, baby. Like I'm by saying that I'm not a financial advisor or expert. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Let's get into the video. So today, my friends, my family, my fellow Gorilla Gang, we're going to give you an update on ticker symbol AMC here. And man, that could not have worked out any freaking better. Now, back here, we had a really nice, hard, volatile bounce off of about 40 bucks all the way up to nearly $50. But the problem with this sort of move was that it was so quick. It was such a fast freaking bounce that, you know, that sort of volatile move can sometimes be rejected back down to the downside. Looking at the RSI on here, it was a pretty big swing. I mean, 21 points all the way up to 62 is a 40-point swing. And this move right here, what I like a lot is that it had a nice push up and then it did the trading sideways thing for a little while until getting a nice after hours push like you just saw now. That to me is a sign of strength. I like that. I think that's a pretty decent sign that you're going to get midterm trend continuation off of that $32 bounce. I shouted this out a couple weeks back as a possibility. About a week ago, I said I think it's likely that you're going to see that push down to $32 followed by the bounce came to fruition. So if you're able to pick up a pretty decent discount on that $32 bounce, congratulations. Hope you make some freaking filthy big fat lemon pepper tendies off those. And we'll see what happens here down the road. So we're going to go over the Ortex data here. I want to go over the short volume percentage ratio. I want to talk about Stocko Tracker, show you about how many available shares there were to borrow, how many call options are in the money, and they give you some technical analysis in terms of things to watch for in order to make your own financial decisions and honestly just help you get some mental peace on a day-to-day basis. One thing that I want to talk about before we even get into this video, I've talked about this a million times with AMC stock. The most important thing is that you're not over leveraging or overextending yourself in this stock. I personally view this as a savings account, right? Any money that I put into here, I'm comfortable walking away and thinking to myself, I don't need this money right now. I'm not stressing about this money right now. It's just going to do what it's going to do on a day-to-day basis. This is a game of attrition, right? I'll say that every single time. So that's the only thing I want to say, right? I want everybody to be comfortable, eating good, taking care of themselves, taking care of their families, keeping the roof over their heads. That's the most important thing here with AMC stock. This is secondary to your own personal life. So without further ado, baby, spoon, ready, spider, dead. Let's go. Let's get into this video. So Ortex data, as you can see right here, short interest is up again on the day, 0.4%. And with a T2 settlement system, essentially meaning that any sort of shares that are returned or borrowed take 2 days to show up in the live updates. That would mean that 2 days ago, you had a net difference of about 400,000 total shares shorted into the market, or at least borrowed into the market, right? Shares on loan or shorted. It could be, shares on loan were about 400,000 and maybe 200,000 of those were shorted. But anywho, let's just look at this. That would mean 2 days ago, which is what you see right here, when we had a little bit of a decline, a lot of shares were borrowed into the market. So that makes sense. I would expect to see something similar leading into tomorrow as well. Probably a net positive in terms of how many shorts added to their positions because it was a red day, right? I wouldn't expect any sort of shorts to have covered, yesterday on Wednesday, just based on the overall price action. Maybe a few on this small move right here from $34 up to $37. You could have had a slight squeeze on that. But looking at the daily volume, right, if there was any sort of, shorts that covered positions yesterday, 135 million in total volume. It is yesterday. 135 million in total volume. You'd expect to see a little more of a push than that. So that's kind of what you got cooking in terms of short interest. Utilization sitting at 92.42%, up 2.78% compared to a week ago. This is something to watch for because as that increases, the risk of naked short selling also goes up. Naked short selling is an act that I think has taken place in AMC stock over the last 7 months, but not every single day, right? What happens on a day-to-day basis depends on supply and demand. How much supply is there? How much demand is there? And if there's a lot of demand, and the utilization is maxed out, meaning there's not a lot of supply, that creates the opportunity to synthetically create supply. You can think of that essentially as a synthetic share, same as a failure to deliver, which is a call option that expired in the money, and the underlying stock to deliver on those exercised calls was not available. So as that goes up, cost to borrow. Oh, wait a second. Whoa! I didn't even see that till just now. What the freaking piss? Oh, what the heck? Look at this. What the? I didn't even see that. What is this? Because so the cost to borrow maximum apparently is 118%, but the average is 1.73. So I'm guessing what this essentially means is that 2 days ago, any sort of shares that were borrowed into the market, some of these guys are actually paying a pretty decent amount of annualized interest. And as that utilization rate goes up, that cost to borrow will also go up. So that's something to watch for in terms of the overall. Man, that's a good surprise. I can't believe I didn't see that. But that's pretty interesting stuff. It's actually trending pretty decent right now. I know overall, like long term, you look at the daily candles, it's in a downtrend, but we're going to get into the technical analysis and give you things to watch for, and personally why I believe you're about to watch the next, at least short-term to mid-term bull run. So last thing I want to get into before we get into the technical analysis is these two right here. So the daily short sale volume percentage, you look at this, the short volume percentage yesterday was 37%, so down just a little bit, tracking about this sideways sort of up and down, up and down, up and down action that you've seen here in the last couple of days. I always take the baseline, right? So baseline means that yesterday, at least 37% of the overall exchange, whatever's reported to these guys was short volume. Does it mean that all of that is correct? Maybe not, right? It's just what's reported to the market. So maybe there was malreporting, maybe there was more that just wasn't reported, but this is the information we have at baseline, so that's where the expectations are. 37% is still an abnormally large amount of short interest going into the market. It's a lot of short volume. It's a lot of negative trying to push the stock down. So that would explain essentially why you had another red day here yesterday, in the overall stock. So a lot of shorting going on. That's something to watch for. And then Stocko Tracker shows you the available shares to borrow. And an interesting thing here is that this has actually gone down substantially. This used to be between 1 to 3 million total shares available to borrow on any given day. And it's sitting around, 350,000, about 250,000, 200,000, 250 being the lowest. And that's actually a pretty positive thing to see because it means the overall supply is going down, which is going to hike those cost to borrow, the annualized interest rates. It's also going to increase the chance of naked short selling, which in the very minute short term can push price action down, but in the long term raises the overall bar in terms of the floor of where a short squeeze can go. So those are the things to watch for in terms of the hard data points that we know as of right now. The thesis behind AMC stock is what it is. It hasn't changed. Over the last 7 months, it's been, do the apes still like the stock? Have the shorts cover their positions? Is there still malpractice within the stock market? All three of these answers is a simple yes. And that was the whole message that I could preach on this last 4-day ladder down that you saw in terms of the technical setup. I mean, I said this in yesterday's video. Where do you ever see this sort of price action? I mean, that's just not freaking natural. Look at the order flow today. $1.60 billion of inflow, $1.4 billion of outflow. We had a green day, right? That's awesome. Yesterday, there was actually more inflow than outflow, and we were down 15%. So that tells you the whole freaking story, man. If you want to see this stuff and think to yourself, why is this going down? That's my answer. It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it's probably for a freaking reason. So the reason that I believe you're about to watch the next overall bull run is based on this MACD trend and this beautiful bounce off of this level of support at $32, this gap fill. If you were to look at the daily candles, right? That was a beautiful gap fill. Yeah, a little bit of a gap right here. And I'm just going to extend this here a little bit. This is part of the essentially technical analysis that I was doing and why I predicted you'd see that $32 bounce because I filled the gap, right? That's a big piece of it. That's where you had the most sideways trading before this parabolic move up to $72 or so, and it got that bounce. That's beautiful. So what you're looking for to continue this overall move is either this, the trading sideways, a small pullback, micro pullback, maybe a 2-3% red day, which is possible. I'm not going to BS anybody. It could happen. You could end up seeing a slight red day tomorrow, but overall, you want to set higher lows. You're looking for this next overall stair-stepping effect like you have right here. Remember, on this move from $9 up to $77, not every single one of these days was green, right? You had some days that it was slight red, doing this junk, slight green. Overall, the most important thing was that it was setting higher lows. Look at this. Higher low, you got $8.94, you've got $12, $13, $18, $25. You're looking for the stair-stepping ladder up sort of effect in AMC stock to signify that you're moving in the right direction. And you have the beginning of that right now. There was a pretty huge day. I mean, a 13% gainer after going down as much as we have is a move. So you might see a little bit of the sideways trading, right? People waiting to see what the stock's going to do before that next big move. It's got to set up. It's got to get that technical setup. But what is encouraging is the MACD. So let's look at the MACD right here. Every single time that AMC stock has had a red phase, it's lasted about the same amount of time within a half day to a full day, right? You can see right here, all of these squares right here line up with the MACD. And these were all about the same amount of time. Same amount of time, same amount of time, amount of time, amount of time, amount of time. And you have that same phase end right here. And typically when those and you get a nice 2 to 3 day run on the bull side. So I'm expecting, either sideways trading or trend continuation. And the sideways trading can even be, like I said, down 1, 2, 3% for the downside. It could possibly happen. I can't promise you anything. I can't guarantee anything. But you're looking for that MACD to get back into bullish territory and give you a little bit of trend continuation for a while. And I think that's pretty freaking likely. So I called it in the past couple videos. I said I really do think within a 1 or 2 day period of time, I think I said this 2 days ago, that you're going to see the end of this bear phase. And I stand by that. I think what you watched was volume exhaustion. You saw some people essentially sitting on the sidelines, waiting to get the best opportunity to buy cheap freaking lemon pepper tendies. And that was today. $31, $32. That's a great opportunity to buy some cheap shares if you're looking for this thing to freaking squeeze, which I think it will. Millions of apes think it will. It's a beautiful opportunity. So I'm pretty happy. I'm happy with that. I don't know how you couldn't be happy watching a 13% gainer day. It was a great weight off your shoulders, man. Freaking kick your feet back. Put your legs up. I kicked my pan. Put your legs up, man. I mean, it was a good day. They're not always going to be green. They're not always going to be red. Sometimes they're going to be the stuff in the middle. It's all part of the journey. And a day in any sort of stock, a year later, it's either A, not going to be something you remember, or B, you're going to look back on it and you're going to smile because it's going to be so insignificant to the overall grand scheme of the picture that was being painted before your very eyes. The last 4 days, tough fucking days. I mean, those were some tough days to get through in terms of probably fun. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's tough. Emotions are a really hard human condition to overcome. And I can almost promise you, if you think about it a year later, it's going to be in a way that you're just smiling. You're smiling and laughing and thinking, man, I can't believe I got through that. That's freaking sick. So that's what I've got for this video, my friends. I'm happy with the day. I think you really are watching the end of that bear cycle, the beginning of the next uptick in volume. Looking at the overall volume, it's doing exactly what I was talking about, filling up this bowl, this big cup down. You watch the volume trend down, now it's starting to trend back up, and you just want it to follow through on that trend back up. It looks very eerily similar to what you saw right here, just on a much larger time frame. So that's what I've got for everybody. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go drop like zero. There, my friends. Catch you on the next one. Lights happen, baby. Much love and peace.